Hello, and welcome to the May 2021 edition of What It's Like to Live with a Classic Mini. In this series, I go through the realities of what it's like to live with a Classic Mini in Toronto, which includes me highlighting how much I've spent, as well as the work I've done on the car to keep it fit and healthy and in a usable condition. In the March 2021 vlog, I showed you the play I had in my steering rack. So, having purchased one from the UK, I did some research around how I could replace the steering rack in my car. As you can see, I made a checklist, referred to the Haynes manual, and of course watched YouTube. Now, following the instructions was relatively straightforward. So let's see how I got on. First of all, disconnect the negative earth on the battery lead. Then, remove the steering column shroud. This was relatively easy with just 3 Phillips head screws. And I made sure I couldn't lose the screws by reinserting them back into the steering shroud. Next, disconnect the 3 wiring looms from the steering wheel. Now they can be a bit tricky to get off, so I used the flathead screwdriver to help. Then I removed the carpets of the car so I could get access to the pinch bolt as well as to the steering rack access panel. One thing that always amazes me about the car is the quality of the floor plans. The floors are in great condition. To remove the steering wheel, you need to align the steering rack. First of all, you have to remove the plastic bolt that's in the steering rack. This is done quite easily with an Allen key, although be sure not to strip the thread. Then I use the Allen key to insert as a dowel into the steering rack to make sure that it's aligned. Now this is very important because without it aligned, you can't remove the pinch bolt that's at the bottom of the steering rack. Here you can see I took my time to definitely make sure the rack was aligned. Then, when I was completely confident, tapped out the pinch bolt with a small hammer. In my research, I'd read that this is very difficult, but if you follow the process and align everything up, then it's actually relatively straightforward, as you can see here, to remove the steering rack. Then of course I placed this out of the way to make sure it wasn't damaged. However, that's where it ended. You can see from the Haynes manual here that on the front submember there are 2 bolts that you need to remove from the towers. Now, easier said than done you'd think, because on an SPI Mini, that's right, all of the aircon is in the way. Now, this was way above my pay grade, way above my competency to be messing around with chemicals, and so this is when I decided to call it a day. My solution? Contact a local vendor, Mr. Green Mini, and I dropped the car off to him at the end of May, and I hope to pick it up again soon in June. Whilst I'm a bit disappointed that I've got to pay a professional to carry out some services on the Mini, I can be happy with myself that without the aircon in the car, I would have been able to remove the steering rack. Earlier in the month of May, I did make sure to get the car out and use it on some jobs. Here you can see I was at Canadian Tire and Home Depot. So, let's look at the numbers for May 2021. First of all, the Sykes readings. I took 4 readings this month as I actually used the car quite a bit. I'm generally happy with the readings of the Sykes Picophant tool. The only thing I would say is I do notice a direct correlation between when the idle switch is showing as on and the lumpiness of the car. I need to investigate this further. If anyone does have an idea, it'd be great to know. Looking at the spend, you can see that May again was relatively modest and relatively low value, but you can see I have spent a fair amount. Total spend is $6,811 or £4,204, but in May 2021 all I spent was $89 or £55, and I spent that on a foam cannon and some foam. You can see the results here. This was on the lowest setting because I was trying to preserve the foam. However, I would say that it worked really well and I was very happy with the results. In the June 2021 edition, we'll find out how the car did at Mr. Green, and I'll let you know the price of that, but I'm expecting it to be expensive. Till next time, thank you.